Good to have everybody here. So we'll move on to the open forum. So this is an opportunity, if you're not on the agenda, an opportunity to come and address the council about items that items that you want to address the council about. So anybody have anything? Okay, come on up, tell us who you are, tell us what you want to say. Okay.
Thank you, Tyson Smith, Grand Marais Lions Club, here to talk about the street closure permit. We have a small edit. Too many cooks in the kitchen on this one. The street closure time, if you look at your consent agenda, there's two areas there, the green and the yellow. Makes a lot more sense to the vendors and the coordination for everyone to make that green closure noon instead of 5. If that makes sense to everybody. We'll give a little more time during the day. I've talked to most of the downtown businesses. Some are going to do sidewalk sales, some are not, but no one's too concerned about that as long as we have someone at the barricades to let in the delivery trucks. At least one business was concerned about that, so we'll make sure that happens. Also, I don't know if it's in the permit that I think it was Millie submitted, but no parking signs Wednesday night. I'm happy to set them up. I just need permission to do it in those areas so we have less of a towing problem. If we're starting later in the day for street closure, we don't want to make someone happy when they find out that they're going to not have a place to park. I'm happy to put them up at night.
You're happy to put them up? Or you need them and you're happy to put them up?
Second one.
Okay, we better talk then.
Sounds good.
We can make something, figure out something.
As long as you say it's okay, we'll figure something out.
That's your normal, right? That's the usual.
It's a courtesy.
Oh, no, I meant the scheduling. I'm sorry, I didn't say it very
Oh,
well.
the scheduling.
The scheduling.
Historically, it's been morning on Thursday. We're trying to be a little more flexible for some of the folks downtown by making it noon. That's why you've got kind of a blended kaleidoscope in front of you for when the closures are going to happen and how, but we're trying to make everybody happy and still have a great fish pick, which it will be this year.
Right.
All the things that people have been complaining about should go away this time. Everything's going to look like it has in the past.
All right.
Everyone.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for open forum? Anyone? Bueller? All right.
So one thing I was going to ask with the agenda is if we could move library ahead of the planning commission. That would be fine. Or not. I'm fine.
That's fine.
I mean, I guess it's fine with me. We'll get there soon enough.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll close the open forum, move on to the consent agenda. Typical 3 items, and then the Lions Club street permit, as Tyson was saying, we'll put as amended on there so that we know that the change has been made. Anyone want to pull anything for further discussion or a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended? And the agenda being amended as well.
I would so move that.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, so moving right along, we have from WTIP, StoryCorps One Small Step introduction. So come on up and tell us what it's all about.
Hi, everybody. My name is Barbara Jean Myers. I know most of you. I'm really happy to be here and have a moment of your time. I just wanted to put an exciting project on your radar. It's a civic engagement project, which I think is a perfect thing for city council members to be aware of. And it's a community healing initiative to address sort of the toxic polarization that we find ourselves in this country and occasionally in this community. Our community has been selected as one of 6 hubs to work with StoryCorps. They're a national nonprofit that documents the stories of everyday Americans. And how it works is we put 2 members of the community together who don't necessarily agree on everything politically and sit them down for a personal face-to-face conversation. All the conversations are moderated. They're not meant to be a debate or an opportunity to stand on a soapbox. It's just a chance to get to talk to someone who maybe thinks differently than you and find out who they are and what matters to them, what their hopes are, what their concerns for the future are. And it's a project that's been happening across the country for the last 4 years, and it's been very successful. And I think it's just really exciting that we have this chance. So I'd like to encourage you all to sign up, contact me if you have questions and talk to people in the community about the project. I think the more folks we can get involved and the more different they are, the better the outcomes will be for us in terms of maybe healing and addressing some of that polarization.
So it's like one of my favorite radio programs. Could you just let everyone, kind of give them back what it, how people hear about it and how they, how it comes out to
How
the regular-
StoryCorps comes out. So
Yeah.
traditionally their projects are played across the country on community radio stations and on public radio stations. And usually it's two people sitting down that know each other to talk about something significant in their lives. And they're really cool conversations. This project is a little bit different in that it's taking two people who don't necessarily know each other and don't necessarily agree on things and sitting them down to talk and have a personal connection. First and foremost, the One Small Step project, unlike the other StoryCorps stuff, it's not a radio project per se. It's totally up to the people that participate if they want their story saved and archived and used. That's not really the point. The point is just to get two people together who think differently and have them connect in the hopes of showing us that we all kind of have more in common than not. So it's a little different from what they usually do. That said, if people choose to have their conversation archived, it's a great opportunity to have the stories from our community preserved in the Library of Congress. So that's significant and awesome. And it's also an opportunity to, show others that maybe it's not so scary to sit down with somebody who has a different political point of view than you. So, yeah.
What's the time frame? I guess I saw some stuff about it a few months ago, maybe, but
Yep.
how long is it run, and how often? Do people
We'll be doing
there's
it-
still spots, or
Yes, there are
available?
still spots, lots of room to sign up. I'll be doing conversations all throughout 2022, so until December 31st. And that said, if you're not selected to participate in one of the local conversations, you have the chance. StoryCorps is doing this on a national level, so they may at some point contact you down the road and pair you up for a virtual conversation with someone somewhere else, could be anywhere. So it's, even if you don't participate this year, it's still an ongoing national initiative.
Cool.
Yeah.
How many spots are there?
We'll be doing 25 conversations
Okay,
this
so
year,
it's
so 50 people. And, potential to do more than that if time and interest allows. So,
Cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just reach out to you at the radio station.
Yeah,
What's
reach
the-
out to me. My contact info is on the WTIP website. There's a page set up for this project.
Yeah.
WTIP.org/one-small-step. And there's a link on there where you can email me directly, or, a lot of you have my personal number too. Feel free to call. I'm here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks,
Great.
guys.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Fun to hear about that project.
So I think it's pretty neat when you think of all the radio stations or places they could go to do something like this. They've selected our community. What a great opportunity.
Yeah, super cool. So the shout out goes out to the community too, that sign up, fill those spots. All right, so we switched to the library budget request comes up next. So we got you guys come on up, and we'll take a look. So looking through the memo for this, it looks like we have an increase with the increase in expense for the Arrowhead Library system. It's a 2% increase of looks like just under 8% for the year. You want to break down some of the things that changed and some of the things that moved around?
The biggest, I'd say the most significant change, well, thank you, first of all, for looking through this and getting familiar with it. I guess first looking at the ALS stuff, there was pretty good momentum in the state legislature for increasing funding for the Arrowhead Library system, but as we know, not a whole lot got done this year at the state level. And so ALS is requesting that counties pony up to help compensate. And I thought 2% is pretty modest there. I always feel like the library's requests are pretty modest, although 8% increase overall is nothing to sneeze at. But the biggest factor is just health insurance. It's estimated an increase of 30% by your finance director, the city's finance director. And that's largely because of the size of the pool that the city's insurance is through. It's a new insurer recently. In the past, the Northeast Service Cooperative was used, but those rates got quite high, and so then whoever you have now was more attractive, but now it's kind of flipped over. And I'd say that the county is using the Northeast Service Cooperative, and the current provider is Medica, and so far getting really good feedback from staff, and last year we had a 10% decrease in our health insurance, so to be determined what this year's is. But we haven't heard anything like 30%, so I would encourage your consideration of looking into that a little more seriously, but that's your prerogative. So, but with that estimate for health insurance of increase of 30%, that boosts everything up, and Amanda did a good job of trying to mitigate those costs just by whittling down a little bit here and there, but really making that covering that increase is pretty difficult, and the library board does not want to cut services. So actually we want to increase services. So this is difficult to do in these circumstances. Thoughts, questions?
I was just looking at the numbers as far as the 2022 to 2023 change for health insurance. The number looks like it's about $13,000 as far as what it went up. Am I reading that correct?
The 30% health insurance, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure I have the number to quantify that.
Mhm. 51,616 from 38,265, and we have nothing to do with that aside from getting it from the finance director and putting it in the budget. So we're hoping it's really inaccurate.
It's for sure a conservative number.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
and
this
that's
is
better.
based on timing. We have to approve this budget well before we hear what the increase is actually going to be. You'll have to approve the preliminary levy for the city well before we know what the increase is going to be. And we can always go down if the increase is lower, but we can't go up. So
Yeah, I think I heard it was going to be fall-ish for more knowledge.
sometimes it's November before.
Right.
Sure.
Just
So-
depends on when all the calculations come back.
And just as a reminder too, anything over that 5% threshold of a budget increase for the library has to go to the county board as well for approval. Anything 5% and below is automatically approved by the county board. So just so you're aware, we're going to be talking about that at that level too. But what are you going to do?
So the increase that we're talking about to get this 7.8% increase, it's a $16,000, just under $17,000 number, which was what the increase would be for this year. Did the library board entertain, and I know that this is both a popular and unpopular opinion, entertain using any of the reserve monies to cover any of the books periodicals, like the circulation expenses or anything like that for this year to keep that number down? Or?
No. Our philosophy is, relying on the public for a public library and working with just keeping things not dipping into reserves. We're feeling like those monies is better spent for projects or single use sort of thing. So that's about as far as we got with that. And again, not wanting to cut services.
Does anyone have any questions for them about the numbers or feel strongly about the proposal?
I'd make a motion to approve the library budget requests with the increase.
I would second that.
Motion and a second. Sorry, I fell asleep at the wheel there for a second.
Mr. Mayor.
Discussion.
Yes, I also just want to thank Amanda for her hard work over this past year between the flooding and continued COVID navigation. there's been significant strain and now turnover too with staff. But Amanda's done an excellent job throughout the whole thing, and just want to give her some accolades here. So.
Yeah, here.
Awesome. So a motion and a second, any further, motion second, further discussion. Anything else?
I'll just reinforce that, we do have an outstanding library. It's used by this entire county. It's a very appreciated service that we have. And if people weren't using it like they do, I might have second thoughts, and it's super important to have something like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I will.
All right, now we'll move down to the Planning Commission report. So, this is for Resolution 2022-12, Vesta Unchained. So this is for the preliminary plat. Keeping in mind, this is the preliminary plat. We're not talking about anything beyond the preliminary plat at this point. Members of, well, you were there for the Planning Commission, right? You want to give a breakdown of what the Planning Commission thought about this and how it went?
Yeah.
If the council's had a chance to look through the material provided, we've gone through the city code requirements that have been met, and the commission had some findings for it, so.
Yeah, and then going through it, I mean, of course, we were very excited about the project overall, and we were looking at the things that we had to really make a decision about was having a dead-end street, and with the fire chief saying like, it's fine with him, he can make the turnaround, he can do that. We were like, well, if they've hit all the buttons, I don't see any way or reason to stand in the way of that. So that's kind of where we're at.
It was a 3-0 vote in favor. Public comment, there were some people that had some questions about it. But
Yeah,
also
but I think
those
we were able
informed.
to address that
Okay.
at that time. And we had the HRA person, I forget his name.
Jason.
Jason there.
It's going to be a household name pretty soon.
Okay, very good. Anyway, I feel like we were able to answer the questions people had.
All right. So does anyone have any questions for any of the, we've got some builders, and we've got some lawyers, and we've got some owners, and we got all kinds of folks floating around. So any questions for those guys, or does anyone feel strongly about this resolution?
I just have a couple questions. On the first summary page, where it talks about being a privately maintained street, what does that really mean? Just repair?
I'm not sure that we know yet exactly what that's going to look like. One of the big questions going in was, is this a public right-of-way or not? And it is right now in this plat, a public right-of-way. And then is it also a public street in the public right-of-way? And I think there needs to be more conversation yet about that, unless you've got a direction for sure you want to do.
We should probably have more conversation about that.
Yeah, but at this point, it's not, I mean, the way they've designed it is in response to what we've been asking for in terms of what we would like to see. And we have our engineers that are just looking over the shoulder of their engineers that are doing the design work as well, to make sure that if it ends up being a publicly maintained street, that it's built to our standards. And if there's a reason that they don't want to build it to those standards, then maybe we talk about them maintaining it. But there's options to move forward here that'll work either way.
Okay.
Right, but at this point, at least what we have is to our specifications, right?
Well, we don't have a full design, so,
Right.
yeah, all the things that are included in a preliminary plat, other than, as you've already indicated, the
Okay.
variance required for the length of this dead-end street, meet our standards. Since the planning commission meeting, staff also met with Kristen's team to talk about some of the other issues that we thought might need to be adjusted a little bit. The utilities were located below the south side of the lots, and that was going to require, well, building a road basically to put the utilities in, and then maintaining some kind of cartway to continue to get to them if they need to be worked on. And now the design shows the utilities in the roadway itself. And again, those are details that as the real engineering happens, there still might be more changes, but we have a solid concept now that we know will work for them and for us. We also made slight adjustments to how the utilities came into the property. So originally, they're showing it kind of cutting the corner of our power plant station down below, which is the source of where the water, sewer, and electric and really everything's coming from. And we weren't sure how that laid out with our substation down there. And since then, they've shown us more details about where it's going to go, and it kind of follows the existing traveled path that's there. I won't call it a road because it's not. But again, we've just got assurances that that's going to work. And then the pond design, we've seen a little bit of preliminary ideas for the pond design, and we had some questions about it interacting with the water and sewer, and they made some changes there. So right now, everything looks great.
Great.
And my other question, in the second paragraph, is about vacation rentals, and how is it said that it is not allowed? Is it still based on the basic definition of less than 30 days? We're using that standard.
Well, it's in the R1, so that's the standard, but
Standard.
written within his
Yes.
language is the 3-month.
3 months.
Like, so you have it written in your bylaws or the language on in there that, like, if you were gonna rent long-term, like, right, for their rental properties, that you couldn't do a month-to-month lease, it would be a 90-day minimum lease,
Okay, thank you.
right? Did I read that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me, but it sounds good.
After that, there's no other covenants or anything in particular to this that you're trying to achieve. It's just housing for anyone to buy after that.
I figured you'd have to come up here and talk anyway, so.
Thanks, Tyson Smith here. There are a series of fairly standard, what I'd call HOA covenants, things like you can't leave garbage out in the yard.
Oh.
And you have to comply with the law. If you're gonna keep cars outside, they gotta be running. A lot of it mirrors probably what the city ordinance says, but it's fairly typical restrictive covenants that you put in a homeowner's station.
I was thinking more still in terms of, if part of this is to help people who live here all the time have a place and a home to buy, and knowing besides short stay rental, our other issue is how many are seasonal, or I would call cabins in the town owners. Does this help, or is this just potentially another sale for city cabins? Did I say that very well?
Yeah, I think I understand the question. I guess how this. Yeah, no problem. I guess how this gets built out is really, at the mercy of the ordinance and what, building permits get approved to build in there, so. Naturally, I'm gonna need to sell a certain amount of lots just to make the numbers work to finance the project. And what other people do with their property within the development is,
Okay.
that's not up to me.
Sure. That's fine.
It's kind of the same story in any of the buildable properties in the area, so.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if there's any particular intent beyond that, but I get it. It's okay.
Any other questions? Or strong feelings about resolution 2022-12?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2022-12, the Vesta Unchained preliminary plat.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion?
I'm sure you all saw that the resolution that is now in paper in front of you is slightly different than the one that was included originally with the
Yep.
packet.
Mm-hmm. The proofreading and such, it's very good.
It's legal advice.
I'm glad to see the project coming through, it's pretty exciting,
Yeah.
so, thank you for that. Any other comments?
I couldn't participate in the planning commission meeting, but I was watching because I didn't know where I was gonna be, so they didn't post where I was, so I couldn't participate, but yeah, same. Echo what Jay said, I'm excited to see something happening, so I think that's great.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Cool.
Plug ahead.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Wonderful. So, you've got more work to do. We've got a little bit of work to do. We'll see you at the next step.
He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Understatement, yeah.
Here you go,
Wonderful.
plenty of work.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good job, Charlie.
Charlie did great.
That was not billable for Charlie.
All right. So next thing on the agenda, behind what we had for our library stuff. So it sounds like we are in need of some snow pushing equipment, and the specifics of this are in the Titan machinery bid that we have in front of us. 17-foot snow pusher with the articulated 2-foot sections on it. And then the plate that makes it attached to the loader. Yeah, exciting to be thinking about snow already.
Yeah, with lead times, you know, we're just hopeful that we're
It'll
gonna be
get
able
here.
to get things, and that's why we're here now.
Right.
We need a new pusher, just period, because the one we've got's not gonna work anymore. You know, they all have a life cycle. And this one's a little bit different than the one we've got, because it has the articulating live edge on the bottom, which we think's gonna do a lot better job
Scraping.
in the downtown where there's
Pushing.
quite a bit of contour, and you know, when you're pushing snow with a loader, sometimes it leaves a crust down here and it's kind of a mess, and this we think is gonna do better. So we're hoping that you'll approve it, but just also, you know, full disclosure about this, the loader that we've attached this to is Thorson's that we lease from them, and they're not exactly the same company they've been. We don't know what the future of that looks like, whether we're gonna be able to lease that one again. I think we've probably mentioned this before, but we're looking at our options in terms of where else we can lease one from, or if we're gonna have to look at purchasing a loader, or if we're gonna have to even go a different direction. We're not sure yet. Also, one of the other pieces of equipment you use in the wintertime is the Bobcat. The Bobcat's 22 years old, and it's been breaking down under heavy use. It's actually needing service right now after a heavy day yesterday of use. And so we're going to start the process of replacing it and hopefully have it replaced in time for winter.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did,
Good plan.
I'd assume that the actual like pusher unit itself, it might just be a change of the like attachment method. If for say we found a piece of equipment, we weren't like forced into buying a 1993
No.
or whatever, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, Thorson's is.
Yeah, they've
right?
got, you know, some standards
Yeah.
that this.
Or it would just be spending another $1,300 on a different attachment.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
That's my only question on that.
And talking about the property maintenance department, streets department, and their replacement capital budget. I don't seem to remember this being a budgeted expense, but I do know that we were putting ideas forward for things that we were going to have to replace. And did we a couple of years ago, when we started getting rumblings that Thorson might not be a consistent availability, that we started putting some money aside for the purchase of another piece of equipment if we had to?
We don't, we're always putting money aside for the replacement of our equipment that we
Mhm.
have. We haven't started saving money for a loader purchase because we weren't thinking we were gonna buy one, and we still really aren't thinking we're gonna buy one. We think we're gonna be leasing one, so it's more of an annual expense that's built into the budget for the lease of that piece of equipment. And we may need to adjust that this year, just like any year. For this piece of equipment, it was not on our fleet list for
Schedule,
replacing,
yeah,
but
'cause
it's,
we don't
again,
own
it's
one.
just a piece of equipment that every once in a while is gonna have to get replaced. So it's not
Okay.
a problem. So the way we're accumulating is, we have a fleet that we track the expected life of each piece of equipment that's on there and the expected replacement cost, and then it's just, you know, quick division of how much per year we want to set aside, and that's built into the operating budgets then of each department that has a fleet. So when we look at the budgets, we'll see that number. That money just accumulates in the general fund, and then we have a 20-year look ahead to see, are we accumulating enough so that when we need to buy a loader and a fire truck and everything else all in the same year, that we're not gonna have a cash flow issue.
And the issue with the loader is because we don't own it,
Right.
we're just using the lease side as a budgetary
Yeah.
mark.
And
not.
owning it probably isn't what we want to do. We
Ideally,
don't
no.
use it in the summer, so
Yeah.
it would be a big piece of equipment to buy, and then if we didn't have a use for it in the summer, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Whereas a road construction company's using it all summer and then it sits all winter, that's typically how that happens.
Okay. Great.
But that's still the question, right?
Yeah, which we're working on.
So that's kind of two different separate things. So we've
Yeah.
got
This-
this purchase here, and then we've
Right.
got the heads up for the future. We might have to do something about a loader, and then we are going to be doing something about our Bobcat.
Yep.
So the red type on the bottom about subject to availability,
That's
do
why
we
we're
have
doing it
any?
now.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like,
I don't know.
if we send them a check tomorrow, is it like, they might say it's 6 months?
We'll probably wait till we get it to send them a check, but
You know what I
I
mean?
know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Lenny's expecting this to be ready to go before the snow flies.
Okay.
So hopefully there's just one in stock, but I'm not sure.
Okay. But I guess if they're in demand and hard to get, that even if we went some different route, we could probably sell it if we ended up with it, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this literally just attaches to the bucket.
Right.
Right? It's not even,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, it'll work for most any.
I'd make a motion to approve the purchase of accept the quote, how do you want the motion?
Yeah,
Approve the
purchase a
purchase
snow
of the
pusher.
sectional snow pusher?
Sounds
That
great.
works. That works for me. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. All right, wonderful. So let us know when that shows up. Be kind of fun to see if it actually shows up before the snow.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get off easy this year.
We might get off easy this year. Feeling lucky.
Maybe we could put it in the parade.
Having driven
Huge
the large
load.
equipment in the parade, I don't recommend doing it. It's the scariest
It's-
thing we've ever done.
We do every year, we
Kids
get fire
jamming kids out in
trucks
front of
and,
you.
Old pusher have any value?
oh, wouldn't
You know
they
what I
love
mean?
that? A whole pusher full
No,
of
I'm saying,
candy?
like,
To anybody
the
that sells
kids
it.
already out in front of you when you're driving equipment and you can't, it's
Because you did
super
the
scary.
big lift, right?
Yeah.
That's super scary.
I believe
I
that.
don't like it.
We do it every year.
Well,
Make
fire
it fun for little kids.
Yikes.
Moving right along.
Joke for the night.
Okay, so we did get an application for a member of the EDA.
Maybe backing up a step. Earlier this week, we received notice that another EDA board member, who is a city rep, is resigning.
Yeah.
So Bev Green is no longer going to be on the EDA.
That was, yeah.
I mean, I saw that on Monday, and this showed up on Tuesday.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
incredible.
was,
That works. Do we have to accept the resignation of Bev?
The
Or is it
EDA
just kind
does,
of
we
like
haven't even had the meeting yet.
Oh, the EDA does.
I mean,
Okay,
you-
so we're
it's
gonna
kind of a
authorize
formality.
the,
She's not going back.
we're gonna authorize the appointment. If the council so wishes, we'll authorize the appointment of this person, and then that happens at the EDA level.
Well, if you authorize their appointment, they're on the EDA.
Gotcha.
So, and you
To
can
fill a
just
spot.
authorize them to fill the remainder of Bev Green's term,
That sounds right.
which I believe goes till the end of 2024.
There you have it.
Or if you want to do something else, you can do that too.
Any strong feelings about the appointment of Myron Bersheim to the EDA?
I think it'd be great.
Awesome.
I can't make all the motions.
I know, I was just
All right,
thinking.
I'll move Myron.
Okay, a movement to approve Myron Bersheim to fulfill the remainder of Bev Green's term.
I'll
Bev
s-
Green's term on the EDA. And
I'll
that's
second that.
Second, motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Myron, and thank you, Bev, for your service.
Mhm.
Yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. All right. Thank you, Myron. You guys will let him know?
We will.
He's not actually watching this show right now. All right, so on the agenda, we have a time period to talk about City Hall Liquor Store to continue the conversation from our work session. I'm going to hand that over to you because you have
Yeah.
information.
Based on the work session, I didn't think we would need to do any talking about things tonight. I think that conversation finished in a way that we knew what we needed to do moving forward. And then yesterday, the new owners of Johnson's came in to set up their utility account. So if you hadn't heard that news, that's relevant to the conversation. We'll keep moving forward with the rest of the sites that we had discussed, and we'll be working to schedule a work session to sit down and go through and evaluate them.
Okay, another work session.
Fair enough.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the update. Moving on to council and staff reports. Craig, you got anything?
We had a Parks and Trail meeting yesterday or the day before, but I got kind of confused on the meeting because it was not going to have a meeting. Then we ended up having a meeting, so I didn't go to the meeting. I didn't think there was going to be one. But anyway, I did get the agenda to me, so I'll bring you guys an update at the next city council meeting.
I've never missed a meeting, ever.
Well, there was a questionnaire, do we want to have a meeting because we don't have anything to talk about? And I said, well, okay, then no. And apparently we had a meeting, so. yeah.
Apparently everybody else said yes.
I
Somebody else
guess
said
so.
yes.
I don't know. I got outvoted, but I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, I got the agenda, and we just talked about some of the things that we talked about the last time, so.
Continuing conversations.
I'll bring it back up to date when we talk. Otherwise, no, we haven't had a park board meeting, but I did read a park update. And just watching some stuff that's going down in the rec park, I see they got the landing, concrete poured, for the boat launch.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of class 5 piled up down there, so I'm speculating that they're probably starting on the parking lot now, so they'll probably be doing quite a bit of that work this month in July.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the park looks very busy, so, and the golf course looks good. I don't know what the use is being done up there right now, but at least everything's green and it looks great. So,
We've been blessed with water in the
yeah,
sky.
we have lots of water and we have lots of
Occasionally.
bugs, so see how that goes. Yeah.
Seen a lot of head net golfers.
A lot of head, yeah.
Oh,
So that might be taking a little bit of the steam out of the golfing, but once it dries up a little bit, I think we'll be busy up there.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Cool. Anton?
We haven't had any meetings except for the planning commission that we already talked about. We got a thing today about the vacation rental review committee that's you, right? You and I are on that?
Yeah, although you're the rep, I'm the sit in the corner and
Okay.
watch guy.
So anyways, we got a doodle poll or whatever on that to get that scheduled, so maybe the next meeting, no, the second July meeting, we might have I can give you some information on what came about on that. And, by then we'll have an EDA meeting too, that's first Tuesday, so, yeah.
And
That's
if
all we
anybody's
got.
curious about who else is on that committee, the county made their decisions yesterday and they released a list of all those people, so just to be curious.
Yeah.
okay. Did we get on that software that they're utilizing to monitor?
No,
Are we
we'll-
on the same topic? or-
We are, but that'll be part of the
Part of our
conversation, this
conversation at
group.
the first meeting because now yesterday they selected who was on it,
Mhm.
and now it's figuring out when everybody can make it, and we'll start. It'll be interesting,
Cool.
especially as a city perspective, because it'll be interesting.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Sounds good. Tracy?
Nothing.
I have a report from the sheriff's department. So the sheriff hired a community service officer, CSO, who is a young man named Logan, who is he is going to school at Bemidji State for law enforcement, and will be graduating. I think he's graduating next year, and then we'll be able to start doing his actual certification classes for becoming an officer. So I've had a couple of opportunities to sit and chat with him. Seems like a really great guy. He's spending a lot of time doing relationship building, walking around, introducing himself to business owners, introducing himself to people around the street, I guess he's got little coupons that are good for free ice cream, for kids and stickers, so I mean, like,
Okay.
I know, right?
Kids.
So I was saying, I told him like, well, come on, man, like, I'm gonna just be following you around town.
Yeah.
Little deputy stickers, right? Like,
I'll just say,
those are the
I got
best.
kids at home.
Football cards.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but you don't.
It's the stickers are like little deputy badges, badge stickers. So I mean, it sounds like he's really taking it seriously. I sat down and talked with him about some ordinance things that we were hoping he would help enforce, and he seemed like he had sat down and read through the city code at least once.
It's like anybody would do, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we've all done it.
At least once.
I
multiple times.
have, but that's because it's our job. But and-
Does he carry dog biscuits around too?
That's it. I don't think he's got dog biscuits, but he is also not carrying cuffs or a weapon. So
So he'd have
he-
room for dog biscuits.
That's right.
well, I mean,
Perfect.
we can make suggestions. We can certainly suggest. So this summer is kind of an iterative beginning process for the CSO position. They've never had it before. It's kind of a trial run to see, is this effective? How does this work? He'll largely be utilized to attend to complaints as long as they're not of a violent manner, and then also be patrolling public events and things like that too. So you'll see him around. He'll be around. He's driving one of the older Tahoes with a sticker on the side that says Cook County Sheriff Community Service Officer. So pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool to see. Other than that, I don't have any further update. So
And we've done mine. Planning Commission.
There you
I
go.
actually did have maybe one question that I, of course.
Mills are
So 'cause
I
Mills
know
was here?
Mills was here.
Yeah.
No, I did have somebody ask about, like, the process in selling, when Tim was looking at buying the land up at Tom Topota, like, what is that process if it's not, somebody that was interested, I don't know if it was there or where, but like, what is the format, like, how should that approach? How do they do that? I mean, now.
Someone wants to buy property from the city.
Right,
Written offer.
yeah.
It's a conversation starter. I mean, I think maybe one of the takeaways from that discussion with Tim is there isn't a process. It really is custom designed for each individual situation, and it depends on what do we want to use the property for, what do they want to use the property for, who are they, what's the, lots and lots of different things. So we're not in the business of buying and selling property typically.
Right.
So if you want to buy property from the city, we don't own a lot, but come and talk to us. We have people do that on a semi-regular basis. As a matter of fact, we're sitting on a request right now that we'll be putting in front of you pretty soon, but we still have some staff discussions to work out on the piece of property that we own. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, the 40 acres up at Murphy Mountain, which, did you have any idea we owned a piece of property up at Murphy Mountain? We do.
They sure do. Look it up on the
Yeah.
Plat map. It's kind of mind blowing. It's got
Right on
some,
Bolly Creek
it's
Road,
got some
right where it
history,
turns
too.
north.
Oh.
It's, we've used it for disposing of biosolids from the wastewater plant and petroleum contaminated soils and
Junk cars, I
dredge
think.
materials
Used to
out
be
of
junk
the-
cars up there years
out of
ago.
the harbor, for sure, yeah, so. So, yeah, that's obviously kind of a complicated question then. Are we even interested in selling it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you put the car from up Nature Boy?
That's still there.
Oh, it is
Oh, it's
still
still
there.
there.
I thought it was gone.
Nope,
Mm.
it's still there. Multiple colors being painted on it.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't
every
walk
time
that
I
way
go
anymore,
there.
so.
Yeah. And there's also one at the, like, halfway down the old ski hill too. That's a big old car. When that one went down, that must have made a ruckus.
Well, then there's the one at the end of the, I would call it out to the garbage pit and down that hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a truck that just went boom. Anyway, so the question is about the sale of city property, and we have the ability to create a procedure for that if we want to. So if we want to create a certain way of doing that, we certainly have the ability to do that. You know, if either we can say like the way to do it is to make a written offer to the city and then we proceed as that, you know, whatever. Or we can decide to put property on the market if we have property that we want to sell. And then we let the market take care of it. But-
Well, that's the only, I mean, that was my only question really, because it seemed like the feedback that seemed, not that a lot of it was like voiced here, but like the feedback that I got from that other was that it's like, oh, I didn't even know that was for sale. And it's like, well, I think anything's kind of for sale. You know, if we deem it is, right? I mean, so you just have to ask, right?
Mhm. Sounds right.
So,
When it comes to the sites up there, now, we've had other people talk to us about them.
yeah,
And mostly what I've told them is, stay tuned until the city council's done talking about City Hall and liquor store.
yeah.
I don't think we want to really be entertaining any offers up there until we know for sure we're not going to use it.
Right. Okay.
Anything else? Mike, Patrick, Kim? No, everybody shaking their heads? All right, we've concluded our work for the evening. We are adjourned.
Awesome.